Welcome very, very much to Conversation. It's a great, deep personal honor to welcome to the program a man of spiritual dimension. He's a yoga teacher, and he's also a Proutist. We're going to be talking about a philosopher of economics that was based in South Asia that had a movement called Prout. We're going to be talking about it because it's relevant to understanding things economically as well as spiritually. But his name is Dada Harathmananda. And he's all of that. He's a teacher of yoga, and he's also down and willing to accept an identification as being a supporter of the Occupy movement that has implications here in the United States and also across the world. And Dada, welcome so very, very much to Conversation.
Thank you very much. It is my pleasure to be here.
It's my pleasure to welcome you. And share with us a little bit, born and raised, a little bit of the early training and background of yours, education perhaps a little, and then we'll talk about the human condition currently, with a particular emphasis on Prout, Occupy, possible connections between them. But share your own background if you would, please.
Well, I born in India, and then I got trained as a monk, in India itself, in Varanasi.
In
India.
What?
Varanasi, there is a place called Varanasi.
Oh, that's a location.
A location, and there I got the spiritual and philosophical training.
Was that in what tradition? And you said we should
it
say
is a
Tantra.
it is a new tradition. It's called Yoga Tantric, tradition.
Okay. Okay.
Yoga Tantric tradition, and I became a monk in 1976, 77 in fact, I became, the Acharya.
And there in
I
India.
became a monk, full monk, And then, I just went, I was posted or deployed, or I was sent to different countries of the world to propagate the philosophy of Ananda Marga. So I became a monk of Ananda Marga order.
Okay, and that's an order. That's not you said you'd rather not be identified in a Vedic tradition.
It is,
but it's something.
If there is something good in Veda, is taken, is respected, honored. But we don't think that everything is good in Veda, like the caste system and all these things.
It's amazing the caste system that they can build it into a spiritual understanding.
So that we don't support, because any sort of fragmentation in the humanity, we don't appreciate that.
I see.
Maybe it has a very good realization, and some other aspect is very good. So we are very careful, Gurudev P.R. Sarkar or Ananda Murthy ji.
Thank you,
He is very careful about picking and choosing things.
That's the gentleman that's associated with Prout.
Yeah, he has given the spiritual philosophy, and he has given the social philosophy, economic philosophy. So the Prout is the socio-economic political philosophy is called Prout. And he has given his civil name, that is P.R. Sarkar, and his spiritual name is Ananda Murthy.
And is he in the order that you are a monk?
Yeah, he was the guru. He was the guru.
He was the thank you.
He was the founder. He is the writer. He's the founder.
I had a subway ride today with a gentleman where I was talking. He had a turban similar to you. I associated in my ignorance of things South Asia with Sikh. It's not connected to the Sikh.
No.
Okay, it's not. It's connected with Sarkar.
With Sarkar.
Okay.
With Ananda Murthy.
Then why don't we talk a little bit about Sarkar, and also not only as a spiritual following and the traditions where you draw upon many of the best of the spiritual traditions, I presume, but also the economic implications that would be relating to the country of India, perhaps the world, and then ultimately to occupy not only Wall Street, perhaps a movement that's abroad in the human society for the whole world.
Yeah, he has given this proud philosophy for the whole world, for the entire humanity, without thinking their affiliation with some country or nations and so on and so forth. He has given for the entire humanity. In fact, he didn't tolerate. He couldn't tolerate the sufferings of economic sufferings and other sufferings, other suppressions. Could not, and that's why he had to give this. Because billions of people, you can see how they suffer suffer economically. And
awful, I think, on the large scale.
And they believe,
and continues.
And they believe below dignity of humanity.
Yes,
so
indeed.
So this is not life. This is the survival is a question. Even survival we do not consider as a good life. Good life is it will thrive. It is not survive only. It has to thrive. So it we cannot forget about thriving. We cannot survive even. This is the condition, and minimum necessities are not there. We are living in the like standard of animals and all these things, and so it's very
so many human beings are still and have throughout history had to live in that condition because there was not a just order. Is it based on
a
sense
just
of
order.
justice as a guiding lodestar for the philosophy?
That's why you see what he is different than other spiritual gurus. Other spiritual guru, if you go to them and talk to them that about your poverty and all these things, about your sufferings, all these things, they will simply give you a stone to change your things, or they will tell it is your karma phala, it is your fate and all these things,
Right.
But he didn't do any mockery with the humanity in this regard. As a spiritual guru, he felt that it is not because of your fate, because so many human beings are suffering. It is not individual who is suffering. Then it can be little bit of your fate, a little bit can be your suppression, oppression, your laziness and all these things factor can be considered. It is a complex situation. But as a humanity, if entire humanity is suffering, it is something to do with the unjust economy.
Unjust economy. It's interesting. He goes to that, but he
so
also
instead of giving him a stone or telling
give
that
them a just system or a philosophy that could lead to that.
That's why he has given this economic philosophy.
Yeah, I've had, as you are aware, we've had interesting telephone conversations preceding this. I'm glad we were able to put this together. But I had association with a man who is well known in this country, Ravi Batra.
Yes.
And Ravi Batra was the man who was. He had a best-selling book back in the 1980s.
Yes.
It was called The Great Depression of 1990. And other things. And he was a Proutist.
Yes, he is a Proutist.
And he was a student of Sarkar.
And he is a disciple of the same person who is also called as Anandamurti. So, he got a lot of blessings, from his spiritual guru,
right?
And he's taught a lot, economically speaking, about all this economic situation.
He talked about. He was predicting the depression that some people would like to think in the normal reading of the news and so forth that may have been averted by all the efforts that took place in 2008 to shore up all the banks and that kind of stuff. But he had a philosophy of human society. I wonder if it's worth our going into about. There are warriors and there are intellectuals and there's four-way division or something. Maybe we could go into that. And then also he has passed. But what was his Sarkar then? What was his time on Earth?
Well, he was 1921 he born in some state called Bihar, in the Bihar. And then he left his body 1990.
Okay, that's the time frame. And he had a wide following in India?
He's wide following.
Around the world, actually, but particularly based in India.
Around the world. He's an international figure. And he has his organization all over the world.
Yeah. It would be good for us to be aware of that here in the United States, that there's a sister, if you're interested in concepts of justice and so forth. That's one to be very well aware of. I was very interested. You had an interview with a noted social critic in the United States, Noam Chomsky, that we aired today. You did it a couple days ago or something, and you were in touch with a major person who's a social critic of the system from the American understanding. But this is an understanding that goes over to South Asia, that there are the same issues are there among a lot of people who are basically motivated by a sense of justice.
Let me correct one thing. It is not just me who interviewed Noam Chomsky. It is one of my friend, one of my colleague, monk, his name is Dada Maheshwarananda.
Oh, it wasn't you?
No.
I'm sorry.
We sometimes look alike, because of our
you
dress.
the same orange, you see? Yeah, it wasn't you. Okay, okay, right.
But he he is in Venezuela. He is working very nice, and he interviewed. He is working also for Proud. Yes.
And that was just recent, and he was proud.
Just recently.
Just recently. Yeah. Well, that's good. It would be good if you could, or that we could be in touch with him, because he's a great critic. Now, the single aspects of understanding the human society, or even within a larger order, perhaps, of Prout. What are we talking about when we talk about Prout, and what was the message of Sarkar? And then we could also bring up Ravi Batra, perhaps on the periphery, but particularly the philosophy that
Prout,
motivates you.
why? Because why he has to give Prout? Let me tell you first that one. Like he observed that two systems are working, dominating economic system, dominating in the whole world. One is capitalism, another is communism. And he understand. He describe it that though both the systems are similar, they have one thing in common, because both are in both cases. What called wealth is concentrated in the hand of either group of individuals, corporations, or in the hand of state. So humanity never got the opportunity to empower themselves or decide about their economic destiny.
Nor have they ever.
Never.
Throughout all of history, as far as we can
always we are cheated. The humanity is always cheated by telling that until and unless the economy is centralized in the hand of state or individuals, humanity will never be liberated economically. That was the biggest, fraud or cheat, you can tell, that humanity experienced.
And that's been characteristic of the whole of history.
Whole of history.
The protests when Rome was in control of the whole Mediterranean was against the Roman imposition. It was against Rome, or there was a pharaoh that you could be
hundreds and hundreds of years. We are like at the mercy of someone.
Now if we come into the modern experience after what we call the Enlightenment in Europe and the United States and the period of feudalism in Europe and so forth, but it's always been like that. Hammurabi, and that it's always been a few people who were in control of things, and the people were more or less like serfs that were under the complete control of those who ruled.
We are a bunch of servants, economic servants. Servants, totally leading the life of servants, and they will dictate what kind of standard we will have. They will decide our economic future. They will decide our education. They will decide everything, not only economy. They will interfere in every spheres of life.
Okay, it used to be in Britain. You'd have some tie with Britain having had to suffer the Raj or experience the Raj, despite the 1857 mutiny that took. Anyway, that's the history. But they were able to. One would assume the British were able to assume control of India because they had the Gatling gun and the military power we had the power to overcome the Aboriginal people of the Western Hemisphere, because we had advanced technologies that gave us a power ability to conquer them, overthrow them, and take over and win in what is called realpolitik. Who's got the gun rules? Is that something that has motivated the understanding of the unfolding of human history? And it still holds?
Yes, it holds.
It holds now?
Yes, it holds. Directly, indirectly, in different forms, it comes back, and you have all kind of guns, economic guns, political guns, you have. And people do not have real liberty. People do not have any choice. People live at the mercy of those people, few peoples. Few people. What is this? This system cannot be accepted anymore. Well, that's what P.R. Sarkar is trying to tell everyone.
Thank you. Okay,
so the main purpose of it, to educate people that you cannot be. You are the divine children of the cosmic
Everyone,
Father.
not just those who are claiming themselves. The divine right of kings was claimed by the kings, but not by the people.
So you divine, how you can remain in suffering? You have come in this world to enjoy the world. Enjoy the blissful, creation.
Well, how about people who say, well, you can enjoy the blissful creation as long as you do what you're told, but you can enjoy your own thing, and if you're a loyal servant of the people who are ruling, then they will let you be, and you can maybe get a few crumbs from their table and that kind of stuff. That's been the attitude of the leadership.
That's been the attitude,
like children.
Yeah, that's what like is the trickle-down economy is all about. You will get something from us, some mercy we will give you.
And
why at the mercy? Why at the mercy?
And then also it is, don't don't you dare question our authority, or else you will get nothing.
Nothing.
So it's that kind of a world.
That's that kind of world we are living in. Like, now, Occupy Wall Street. If they protest, God knows what will happen to them. This is the situation. Why they cannot protest? It is democratic right. Well, economic democracy is birthright of everyone. So they should protest. They should have their own economy.
It wasn't a birth. Yeah, it is a birthright. Seeing things in a certain way. Let's say in the United States, I don't know, I've not lived in India, I don't know, every country is different, that kind of thing. They have it, but we have a constitution we live by, and you're supposed to be able to, have demonstration for redress of grievances by our constitution, and accepted freedom of speech, that kind of thing. That come down from the Enlightenment and all of that. We have that, but it's being trampled on now in the minds of many in a very wild, put up the barricades kind of attitude by the established interests for the American system. And the American system, if we start reading things, sorry, it's hard not to, being European of background, to see from a Eurocentric view, we had kings. We used to have kings. You had Maharajas and things.
Yes, Maharajas.
You had kings, and for 1,000 years after Rome fell. And it was there that was thought of as being historically legitimate by birth. That gave historical legitimacy to the ownership of the means of production and control of the society to them. And it was thought of as divinely done. And they would apply to wisdom schools to give them authority. Then there came, in the Western world, out of the Scottish Enlightenment, the Enlightenment. And then there came John Locke and natural law, and the rest you would understand, common law. And we had a revolution in 1776. And that pattern that was developed in the United States, the steam engine was invented the same year as Adam Smith wrote Wealth of Nations in 1776, heralding an industrial revolution that was coming. And that system that was developed over a couple hundred years here in the United States seems to me, I'd just get your thinking, the institutions that were developed in the thought has more or less become the pattern now, particularly since the implosion of the Soviet Union system they had in 1998 and so forth, that is the system that the various countries of the world, more or less, in various ways, have aligned themselves with, some as running dog allies of it, others as ones who are in, suzerainty is there, and our system is the one that more or less considers itself, that we've inherited out of history, and the world has largely adopted, is considered historically legitimate, if you understand what I'm saying, as it has been argued down through the ages. Now the Occupy movement is trying to say that system, claiming to be legitimate in a historical sense, is not adequate to what the world, the existential reality of the world, not only has the ability to be very destructive, and is not adequate, and is not able to bring about a possible liberation of the world that the world has never seen. That it's a new order. They are not historically legitimate in their assumptions about their institutions. Does that all make sense in terms of nesting with Sarkar? And
they will always to try to justify that it is not legitimate, it is not this, it is not that. But we have to move, and we have to really get our economy back in our hand. And that's all about, and it doesn't matter anything else to me,
Okay, personally. That's good. Sarkar very much focused on that.
Yes, very, very focused.
And Ravi Batra did. He read the development. We're going to play a program the day after this program airs in Manhattan with Ravi Batra. We did back at that time. Okay. And he was very prescient, and he saw, and we're threatened. We had 1930, the Great Depression. We had another one that we just barely averted. Maybe we're going to still go into and so forth. But that question about that is that you said we're going to get back to. Yes. Is there something we can get back to, or do we have to be thinking about something new? Something new in terms almost like in a new. Like the United States of America was new compared to the claims of historical legitimacy by the hereditary. It is
of course new because I am not telling that get back to the old situation.
Yeah, there's nothing back there to get to.
No, get back economy, not get back a new paradigm of economy, which is totally different than these two communisms.
Or anything coming out of history. That's the point. It's something really new,
new creation. You see that?
Okay, that's what we're looking for.
How it is. This. decentralized economy, that's what they told, that humanity would not be liberated until we design your economy. That ravish should not be there. And we need not to get back to that. And we need to really...
That's a Marxist interpretation?
Marxist interpretation, and it is also centralized, and it is capitalist also. It is in the hand of group capitalism. So this centralized after all. So it has to be decentralized economy now. And that's what is new. That's what is new.
Yeah, you think that's new?
Decentralized is totally new concept. It has to.
Has anyone else, Circa, I want to deal, and this is something that came out of India, South Asia, this thing, and it's very good and everything, but has there ever been anything within the economic canon or the canon of economic understanding in the West, Keynes, Marx, that kind of thing, that relates to what Sarkar is trying to say in terms of his view, or is it something we're looking for, like collectively, for something that is very new in terms of a newly emerging existential reality in universe?
It is new in so many ways. It is new of its own,
Okay, yeah.
Because if Karl Marx, there is a concept called equality. We don't believe in that equality. We have a logic, like, if there is a marathon race, and if you put...
If there's what?
If there is a marathon, like a running Olympic race.
Marathon. I'm sorry, I missed the word.
Okay. Then say if everybody is told to start or is made to the journey, the running, start from one point always. But even then somebody becomes first and second and third, all these things. So, the human beings are not exactly same capacity wise, so we don't want to have the concept of equality of Karl Marx, which is
you want to have some diversity,
which is just a flat equal, and forcibly it is there, it is not artificial equality, and it is neither the inequality of the huge things that everybody bleeds, there.
Everybody what?
Everybody bleeds,
Bleeds,
the bleeding, the bleeding comes, at the cost of human suffering you grow, and so much, it's not that inequality, inhuman inequality also. It is like a in between. It is called rational. Rationality has to be there in place of equality. So it is not the true Europeanism, which is Adam Smith capitalism and what called communism. Since you are telling about India, you can tell that this is a new paradigm coming from him. From P.R. Sarkar, even though he believes in universal things, but he is not, he's opposite, like decentralized economy is opposite to centralized economy. In so many ways, he's so different. It is a new thing. It is a new thing
there, and I remember Ravi used to talk about there was a historical trend.
Yes.
Military would be in control, then the intellectuals would, and then spiritual would, and then it went on a cycle. And he built his economic theorizing.
It is like that, we have
fourfold vision of humanity.
Is 4 classes in the society.
4 classes,
It is not Karl Marx simply have and have not.
Right.
It's not like that. It is more mental color. Like say some people, their mental color is that they want to work as a manual labor. Like they are called labor class or working class. There are some people who loves more power for militant type. The mentality is there.
Then there's intellectual.
You see, so many governments are under military. Still there are few. So like they dominate. They capture the power. They run the society somehow. So that's what we are talking about. It is not again not Vedic system of interpretation. How they interpret hereditary, that if you are Brahmin, then you are Brahmin. It's not like that. It is something totally different. P.R. Sarkar is mental. Your mental color is like that. It has intellectual, color is there. Like you like to read and panditas, like that.
And that they go through cycles in history.
In cycles in history, and some point
one will be ascendant, and then another will, and they follow a pattern that can be understood and seen back through history as being relevant.
At some point, say for example, when it will go in the hand of the capitalist, it is either directly or indirectly. What will happen that they will have maximum wealth concentration and stuff, and then they will squeeze the society, everyone. Like see, 30 years there is no wage increases, and they are making the profit. They are squeezing and squeezing. So inhuman the system is. So what happens then? People do not have jobs. They don't have anything for survival even, and then they revolt. world, you know.
But is there a sense of this? Here we have Occupy Wall Street. It's a big issue here. The people who are in positions of some security, either in terms of their identity or their material well-being, are more or less saying they're comfortable with things like that. And you come along with these people who are saying, and then there's the economic challenge, 2008, that sort of thing. And then there emerged this thing just in the last few months here in the United States called Occupy Wall Street. And it began to get it struck a resonant chord in a whole lot of people in this country, that they're talking about a qualitative change that is required by the zeitgeist, by the reality, like that. Is it the same, or is there an awakening? That's like an awakening to the need for transformation.
Yes.
And is it the same? Because it's not only Occupy Wall Street or Occupy New York or Occupy the United States, it's Occupy the world.
It is
because the world system is one system.
Yes.
And it is wrong. It is not adequate to what the future
That's what
requires.
I want to really emphasize on it. That if it is, we cannot blame one government or one individual here, because it is a whole world scenario. It is a whole world disaster. So that cannot be one individual or one government. You know,
and this was Sarkar's position?
Yeah, it is a system which is falling apart.
And it was his system and his way of seeing things that we needed that kind of a challenge to the historical
so we have to
orders that have evolved.
We have to understand that it is a whole system which is exploitative, which is inhuman, and which is unjust, which is not democratic, which is more irrational, inhuman. We need to change the entire things.
And why would we change it now when we didn't change it 300 years ago?
Well, you know,
why now? What is there about the modern experience that makes this time perhaps a point of liberation in the understanding of evolution? You can understand things where there comes a change. It's called punctuated equilibrium. The new appears in terms of the species that appear and all the wonders of what exists and so forth. But what is there about this time that might make a real qualitative transformation and liberate the human society in total, including the ecological order, which is so important at this time when it's never been able to be done? Is it like a gestation in time that we're coming to an order, a new order in universe? Or how do we get a spiritual reading of what we're talking about?
I think it has gone to its cross the limit. It crossed the limit. Environment is in problem. Education is in problem.
Right.
Everything is in the hand of the capitalist, you know, and you have no choice to revolt, you know, but to revolt. You have to, because you know you have given no. Not a single place is left for us to little bit breathe even.
Okay, and that hand of the capitalist, has that not been led by largely over the last couple hundred years by the example of the United States of America, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It has.
It is.
China calls themselves, the new fellow that's coming into at the head of the government in China, do you know what his new specialization is in scholarly terms? Is dialectical materialism, Karl Marx. They have a religious tie to saying we are following Karl Marx, we're Marxists, we're going to represent the proletariat that have always been oppressed, and they claim that, and yet it just absolutely is nothing more than state capitalism.
It is.
But they've got this religious thing to that tie, and they want to cut off any ties to any of the spiritual, Lao Tzu or Confucian or anything, because they have a religious tie to gain political power there. But it's an extension of the American model.
Yeah, I know it is a it is hybridism called.
A hybrid. Okay.
Hybridism.
Yeah.
You know, they mix.
You're talking China or the
world?
I'm
talking China. You know?
Okay. Yeah.
It is a hybridism because you know they know that communism didn't work, but they still wanted to be in the in the power.
But Marxism is the basis of their political power.
Well,
like
not now.
You don't think so?
Not now they are, but
the new fella coming in, that's his area of expertise, is dialectical materialism.
Yeah.
Karl Marx.
Yes.
He's a scholar of that.
He's a scholar of that. You know.
No, the new guy that they're selecting. And they still proclaim it as a religion that they are Marxists.
Yeah, they are Marxists.
It's a joke.
Yeah, it's a joke. It is a joke. But that's why I'm telling it is hybridism. They are politically, they're politically, they believe the theory of Marx, and they're communist, and they are so on and so forth. But economics things, they are telling they are billionaires, and exploitation is coming down, and all these things are happening.
They got 300 million people, they got 1 billion people on $1 a day or something, way out in the West particularly. It's terrible. So the world is still justly, so what we're talking about.
Is collapsing, everywhere collapsing.
It is, that's good. We just talked with another guy, Russell Means, who American Indians were conquered. Most of the people have been conquered by the people who have the gun.
Yes.
They have the power to enforce it with the police and everything, and like that and everything. And they get to a point where they, they can do that. But it's coming to the end of something in a way. And can you see it that way, that we're coming to the point where the realpolitik and the system that has been given to the world with great homage and so forth by the United States, they think themselves legitimate, are not historically legitimate, fundamentally and structurally?
They don't...
including the Congress Party, and in India, and in other parts, in Africa, and other parts of the world. There's something new that's needed, and does Sarkar give a hint of what that is, and what is the cause of the inadequacy? What is the new reality by which we can build a structure that is just for the whole system?
I think economic democracy is the new thing which we should...
Economic democracy. Okay.
That, I think Occupy Wall Street also, I have advised, I have request to them that they should not accept anything less than economic democracy. Again, they will be servants. Somewhere some repairs, somewhere some amendments, somewhere some regulations should be done to befool us. And it will continue for few days. Again, it will come back to the same thing. We are at the mercy of them. You see you see how it is, how they design, the capitalistic, evil capitalist, how they design. You see, in agriculture, in United States, everybody is kicked out.
In what?
In the agriculture sector, agriculture sector of economy, no people involvement is there, participation is there. They are all kicked out. Small farmers are eaten up by the big farmers. Capitalists are there. So this sector is totally in control by them. And people under there.
I just saw a program last night, Dada, on the television where they were showing that they have the growing of wheat, and hundreds of square miles of Kansas, and they had a machine that was, they finally, at first it used to be a hand picket, and then you would put it, and then you get a machine where you could get one little row, and then they have a machine that goes a combine, and the combine goes down, and 16 rows, it's moving across with a truck, it's moving through, it's being cut, it's being made for fertilizer to fertilize the ground, the excess is being separated, it's being put, and the pure grain ready to be shipped to the market is going in thousands of tons of grain, and there's not even a driver of it. It's being done by an algorithm driving the machine across hundreds of miles of square miles, producing incredible amounts of wheat. And it's displaced the farmer.
So this agriculture sector...
But that's a theme. Let me show you. The theme is, and Lord Keynes, who said that the technological displacement of labor in the productive process in favor of technological systems that can do what that it took hundreds or thousands of people to do in the past can be done, but there's going to be technological unemployment. You get an algorithm that can do what 50,000 workers did. You can't keep having the people work in the way that they did in order to distribute demand.
And in future, since they have the money, they will have they have all equipments, and they will replace the human, and then human being will die down.
Well, that's true, or maybe so. But when you say democracy,
until unless we have really a solid change, we have world constitution, something like that, which really world revolution, that you cannot fire anyone, because of technology. You can minimize the hours, understand? But you have to give the same employment. Until those things are there, I'm taking short-term measures. Short-term measures. But best is this, that it is in the hand of few. Remember, they are becoming so powerful. Remember, and you can simply bargain now. This bargaining is not anymore going to be going to save you. It has to be demanded economic democracy, that you have your own economy.
Well, what about, if I may, I wonder if that's going to be able to be done. That machine, that it goes 16 rows.
Yes.
Huge.
Yes.
and it's just you, not even a driver.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's very hard to have something done like does whoever owns that machine have a right to some return on the grain that they produce on that land?
Oh, well,
they've displaced 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 farmers with what can be done by no farmer.
Yes.
How do we deal with that?
Well, you know, first of all, there should have been cooperative, collective farming, you know, like, you know, all the small farmers should have been, you know, should get together.
But what would they do if the machine is there and they're not needed? What would they be doing?
You know, if profit is coming, as long as whether they have to work manually, I don't trust it. Technology is okay as long as it does not really, you know, make you penniless. You know, make you penniless, or make you like, you know, moneyless, and you make you your future, you know, in problem.
Well, does that example of the combine hold for other aspects, as Lord Keynes predicted in a letter to his grandchildren would, that you're going to have massive technology, because it goes into many other things.
Yeah.
And it goes into where, like, I was from Detroit, Michigan, where they made automobiles. People would, the major occupation in the turn of the century America was family farm. That was the biggest employment thing. The farms came. The farms came with, they can feed the world with these machines.
Yes.
So they had to come to Detroit to make automobiles on an assembly line. Now the robots are making the automobiles.
Yes.
They're making the televisions.
Yes.
They're making all of the major goods.
You know,
and the people are not needed.
Let me tell you.
Let
me tell you, whether people needed or not needed is not the question.
Oh, okay.
We used to walk one day. Then we had a horse to as a transportation. Then we have bicycles and motorcycles or whatever, and car.
And now airplanes. And now jet planes.
So this progressive human progressive things and progressive society must have all these things.
Yeah.
But as long as it does not kick you out of the society,
well, wait a minute.
It kills you. You know, as long as it does not. So you have to have rules so that, you know, why we cannot, like, you know, if a motor car or if we have a car, we can go very faster and do 10 times, you know, things faster than previous world. So it is a beneficial side is there. It is a good thing there. So we have to make everything for the benevolence, everything for the good. That we have to form the rules and all these things. So automation, I don't think that if we go against the automation nowadays, it will be counterproductive.
There were Luddites. They had the Luddite movement that wanted to put themselves and break the machines in England when they came to do it, because they were taking their jobs. They were taking their livelihood.
Yes.
And there's that attitude in some parts of some people now.
So,
but what if instead of everyone being a farmer like that, what if they had that combine? Get a picture of that going through and have that as a metaphor, or a great ocean line. No, the cargo containerization where these ships move, or great oil tank. But if the citizens, instead of the capital assets all being owned by a tiny plutocratic class, is getting wealthier and wealthier and wealthier, because their capital instrument or their technology is creating the wealth, is getting all kinds of. What if everybody had a little piece of ownership?
That's what I'm telling. That's why I tell.
Wait a minute. Let me make the point, please. That little piece of ownership of that technology, whether maybe it's a piece of corporate stock of the company that owns that tech, and then they get, because they own that, they get money coming to them the way the rich do.
Yes.
Is that something that could nest with Sarkar?
This is Sarkar. What is
that
telling?
Would be maintaining a no. That would be, instead of overcoming private property ownership like a stock certificate, you get everybody that gets a stock certificate as a way of getting income rather than work.
We can.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, we call it a cooperative system.
Okay.
And there, and an agriculture economy is there. Now agricultural land, people will be involved. They will collectively maybe have tractors, and, you know, they have all kind of things. You are talking about 16 rows. You know, it goes, and, you know, all kind of things they will have, because whatever profit would be there, they will share. Not right, one individual capitalist is doing all these things.
Well,
and
that's
taking
what's
all these
happening
things.
now.
That's what I'm telling.
And the progressive community says that private property is an evil institution, let's say. Now, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. What, you know, everything has to be done through the government. And if to own private property, they would like, in the Soviet Union, I believe, in their theoretical thinking, they did away with the collectivization. 30 million people killed in order to collectivize. Private property ownership, private sector is an evil thing.
Well, private sector is, to us, is not an evil thing. You know,
to us, in Prout.
No, in Prout, that's what I'm telling. We are not the same like communist. You know,
okay,
private sector is important.
Or the left wing.
Yeah, or the left wing. The private sector, you know, and the private sector or personal things, you know, is personal. We have personal things.
Not personal and things like your dog
and
or
means
your
of production. Means of production.
Yeah, that's the combine.
Yeah, the private enterprise. You know, you have your private enterprise. Now, say for example, if it is a small scale private enterprise, it is okay until and unless.
Why small scale?
Or let me explain.
Okay,
that
please.
if you allow it to be enormous, then it will be again capitalism will come back.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Is capitalism tied up inexorably with the institution of private property?
Well, you know,
and stock ownership and all of that.
Private property and your means of production.
Yeah.
You know,
that combine. Keep that in.
Yeah. If it is crosses, you know, the certain limit, then again accumulation and wealth, and there will be no control.
Well, you want to have some ability.
Some is good if society allows certain accumulation, certain things to
you want have capital. You want to be able to have capital accumulation in the sense of capital formation, so that you can make an investment.
Yeah,
it's going to take 5 or 6 years to pay for itself, and you can finance that out of its future earnings. No, that's how the businessman makes money.
In Proutist system, your education is free. You have 100% job guarantee by the Constitution. You have all these things which basic necessities are guaranteed. And so this kind of society he has designed, this kind of economy, where you start with all this, you know, from here, where your economy, education, you cannot do any business with it.
How do they pay for the education?
Okay, now
how do they do that?
Okay, then if they have job guarantee 100%.
How can you guarantee jobs 100%? They couldn't do it for the farmers here.
Because if you have private enterprise in your hand, number one, and if you have cooperative, replaced all the capitalists are replaced with, you know, these cooperatives.
Will that cooperative be something that they have a movement in Spain called Mondragon?
Mondragon.
Yeah, really good. It's going.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling. That's what I'm telling.
And they say the people own the
people
thing.
Own that.
Does that include owning a piece of private? No, private property, corporate stock. They own. In order to have it, not just an abstract principle, but they have the means by which they have a claim upon income coming to them because they have a private property stake in owning the means of production.
If you say, for example, in agriculture, if you have a land, you give to the collective farming, then you get a share because you have given the land to that. Then if you work there as a worker, you get. And if you have a special worker, skillful, you get special some incentive on the top.
Or are you talking with Sarkar?
I'm talking about Sarkar.
Yeah, okay.
So it is very uniquely designed.
There's a link between Mondragon and Sarkar. That Mondragon is really good.
Mondragon is very good.
Back to the 30s.
Yeah, so it is running and it is replaced. You know,
it's coming here. It's being modeled here.
So that's what I'm telling. You know, so if there is such a certain things that we have, like, you know, collective things, collective cooperatives, then I think it solves most of the problem, because it's collective ownership, and the ownership does not go against the social you know, ownership or social interest, collective interest. As long as it goes, private ownership also is okay. So, you know, and then it is not stagnant. Say, for example, you have today $1 million as in your enterprise. It's not that you are dead end there. You know, society will decide whether 1 million will be 10 million one day or not.
You have growth. You have room for growth.
And today you have a motorcycle. Tomorrow you have a plane for everyone. Understand? So it is a ever growing standard. You know, is there? It is not a fixed thing. You know, that you cannot. But it is collective growing. It is like a march, economic march.
Did the Sarkar thing have influence outside of India? Did it have influence in having cooperatives develop in India? Was there a clash with the political class in India by his doing Prout? Is Prout not part of a very proud tradition of people looking for social justice in economic terms? And where does it fit in terms of that global understanding of Prout? I think it's very important to link up Prout and Proutists with Occupy here in the United States and around the world.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
We are not looking for one or two projects. Rather, we are thinking that mass consciousness has to be built up because
thank you.
And that's why we are with the Wall Street, because it is everywhere consciousness is catching up, and they Occupy Wall Street is not the end of the story. They have to have something to be replaced with.
Yes.
And that what is matters. That what matters. What kind of replacement would be there? Which is again that evil, things are reformed, or some reformation of the things, so we are very much concerned about that aspect, that something new should replace, something more democratic, something more rational, something more scientific, something more humanistic, like something more democratic, like economic democracy.
If we're coming to the end of that, is there a possibility where we could come up with a system? Are we going to have to, if we're going to have a qualitative transformation, we're going to have to anchor to history, but not be enslaved by historical reification of outdated institutions. So we're going to have some sort of a thing that can be liberating of the poor, suffering masses.
Exactly.
Which nobody in the political class pays attention to. They only care about those who are rich and powerful. And so if we have another system, then we could have something liberate, and also the ecological order has to be safeguarded.
Has to be.
That has to be.
That one thing is very interesting. You see that tiny book?
Yes, sir.
It is written by...
What is this tiny book?
It's called Neo-Humanism.
Oh, thank you. I like that. Neo-Humanism, liberation of intellect. I love the title. And that's a Sarkar.
That's Sarkar.
Where do I hold this? Let me hold it and show me. Come in on a camera, and I can show you this book, Josh, if you can get on the robot. Go ahead, talk. Yeah.
Okay, Neo-Humanism is...
Okay, where are you? Just come back.
Neo-Humanism is not that kind of humanism. You look at your fellow brother as a product or as a economic gain, or source of exploitation. You don't see like that, Neo-humanism is a kind of neo-humanism.
That's good.
Is a kind of humanism which really not only think about the benefit of a fellow human being, it also thinks it also consider other living being as the divine being, and they have their existential rights. So it is like all living beings and all non-living beings, it considers as their considered as the divine expression. Of the expression of the divine. So it comes everything under it.
I really like that term neo-humanism because that's a little bit. I'm thinking that we have to come to. I think we're coming in the evolutionary. I'm a secularist by and large, but a humanist by all means and everything. But I think we're coming to a point in evolutionary terms, like 4 million years ago, there were no human beings in a materialist. There was Australopithecine, then there came Homo habilis, and then we evolved 200,000 years. We're coming to the end of that. So neo-humanism is new.
Yeah, new.
But it doesn't. It gets past the thing of thinking in terms of a speciation or a transformation of the existential reality in universe as a result of all of our ability to extend consciousness and make the world different than in an Eden-like sense where we are embedded in nature. We're coming to the end of 200,000 years of injustice.
Yes.
And we have a capability of destroying the species with the weapons that they've used to conquer, and we have the ability to liberate materially the entire human species and the ecology.
Yes.
And we have the ability either to annihilate or eliminate, stop conscious evolution, or the ability to liberate it to a new order, and neo-humanism might be a stepping stone toward that much larger transformation.
Yeah, larger transformation. That's what we want to tell, that we are not thinking society only economically. All living beings are having existential problem in this world, in the hand of the capitalists.
The ecology.
Ecology. All living beings. So we have to think about them. They are divine expression.
Well,
so we human being, it is humanity. It is not humanity. It is new humanity.
Well,
so
neo is a step toward what would we call an environment. It's like in evolution, and I'm a secularist.
It is more cultured, more progressive, more humanity is more advanced. Thinking that that every species, it is their world also. They have existential value also.
That's
you have to respect their existential value. You cannot destroy them. They are divine expression as I am. In the same way, we have to respect each other.
Well, with all due respect, it may be. I would have to just. I'm an agnostic, so I'd have to say it may be divine. I am not at all certain to accept anything absolute, the divine, that is above all consideration of intellectual. We're coming to a new capability, and so synergetically, what that will be, it'll be like going through wide awake the process of what is called in evolutionary theory, Stephen Jay Gould and Eldridge and that, is punctuate. You have steady state for a long time within an evolutionary, and then you have quickening. You have a quickening. Women would be aware. There's a quickening, water, and then there's a new up here. And so that's what's happening sociologically, is a liberated order for the first time. We've been coming out of history. It's a nightmare of injustice and suffering and so forth. And we have a new capability to liberate rather than annihilate the process. And that's what I'm getting at. It's not just a thing coming out of history that is bound to history and the normally accepted notion of politics and so forth. It's something more than that.
Yes, something more than that, because so much injustice is going on.
It's total. All of the institutions are outdated.
Total. So P.R. Sarkar is telling we need to have a new Magna Carta.
Okay.
New Magna Carta means
New Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Yes, it's kind of. It's like a global constitution, which guarantee that all living beings are respected.
Well, Thomas Jefferson, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one band to dissolve the political bands that are connected with that, but they're saying that there is a new change that was coming. It was the steam engine. And this was coming. They could see it. Now it's coming to a new order. And so we don't have something of futurist understanding, and we don't have an economic. And one of the qualifications of understanding, it's understanding and knowledge of what the reality is beyond the everyday. And one of the things, do you believe it's true that the weapon systems may have reached a point where if they were to be unleashed in a spasm of irrational hatred, Israel bomb Iran, and they were let off, that it might possibly mean now, as never it was in all of history, that we have developed, Homo sapien collectively, the ability to destroy the entire Homo sapien species?
Yes.
Do you think that's possible?
It is possible. I think that it is. They have the capability. I can tell.
Yeah, you want to talk. We also
whether humanity will allow them, they have the capability. Whether humanity will allow them to go that extent or not, I doubt that, because people are revolting. People are watching that how $160 billion they are spending, in Iraq and Iran and Afghanistan and all these places every year, and they have education, and one young boy, his future is is in problem because he has to pay a lot of money for education, and you are bombarding somewhere. People are not stupid. They are seeing all these things what you are doing.
Well, okay, that's good. But one thing I would say is, you realize that no matter how much you might have thought that, if there is modeling that they've tracked that. They don't bring it up. It could be brought up that that is an existential reality. That's a capability.
Yes, capability is there.
Okay, it's a capability. You describe it. And that has not applied, from according to the modeling, until about the year. It didn't apply in the Second World War. We were trying to kill each other all over the planet. We were impotent at that level. But around 1970, we crossed that line. There are other modelings that show, with good technology, good design, Buckminster Fuller talking, good design, doing more with less. The microchip is a model for Moore's law. We can take care of everybody. One satellite transponder taking the place of 175,000 tons of copper cable across Atlantic Ocean. There are economies that can be done, and we maybe have transcended material scarcity in terms of our capability.
Yes, we have capability. We have capability also to construct the entire world. We have technology. We have everything. Only question is if it is used. Again, I'm telling, whatever it is, I am not against that capability or against this,
right.
Only thing is this: we have to oppose its use. how badly or goodly it is.
Are you talking about the destructive?
Destructive.
But I'm saying we also have a capability that our institutions were all formulated within there's enough. Wait a minute, at the level of capability.
Yes.
It's brand new.
Yes.
We've never been. 200,000 years, it's always been scarce. In order for me to win, you have to lose, all of that. And now we've got a point where we can take care of everybody and the ecology in a liberated way.
That it should be. That way it should be.
But that's never mentioned.
That's never mentioned.
Transformation, or never is it called to anyone's attention. Could Sarkar get that across in terms of the reality against which you write your constitution or your bills or your things and how you're going to do it? There is enough if we have it structured this way to where there's justice and where you can distribute capability to people.
That's what he's telling, that if we do not have a structure, if we do not have a well-designed plan,
what will happen? Operating manual for spaceship Earth.
If we do not have a constitution, world constitution, the people will be at lost, and the capitalists will take advantage of all these things, and they will use it otherwise.
All right. Ultimate thing is we might get something that could be liberating if you were in a dialectic. Good guy, bad guy.
Bad guy.
We're good guys, you're bad guys. We beat you, so that we steal from you and all that. That's what's going on in motivated human history and everything. But if you get to a point where you can have a liberated thing with the humanity, all of humanity, that's an incredible thing to imagine, where you've never had it. We got a capability of providing for everyone and so forth, and the ecology. And if we have that, then you've got a transformation that is able to be brought about in a way that historically there's no model for. So it would be synergetic, and what that would do is bring us into a new relationship to the universe writ large that the spiritual wisdom schools have tried to be understanding, but they would be going through that dance wide awake. We would waken up to a new way of being in universe, and we have to get to that pattern in order to get the template upon which we can write our laws and institutions and social structures between one way. And we don't have that comprehensive vision because there is nobody talking about it. They're all reifying outdated institutions.
It has to be very holistic. It has to be
very holistic.
It has to be
spiritual even.
Yes, it's comprehensive. That's why we are talking.
Where is the comprehensive vision coming from?
Well, he himself, Sarkar, and he himself is a holistic person. He doesn't. He doesn't think. That's why his things are not economic philosophy. He's a spiritual philosophy. He has environmental philosophy. He talks about environment there.
Did you know the man? Did you know him?
Yeah, I personally met him. I personally was taught by him. I became monk. I got his blessing. Yes.
Very good. Yeah.
And I'm happy that because I was previously I was. I was going towards communism and Marxism and all these things. But when I saw that Prout is talking about spirituality and all these things, and neo-humanism, everything there is very comprehensive, very holistic. I thought that the approach should be holistic, not like bits of pieces.
One of the problems and tyrannies of time in no matter how many, whether it's East or West or whatever philosophy, is there only a certain amount of time for a television program. We've run out of time. I can't believe it. It's such fun when you're having it goes so fast when you're having fun. We're coming to the end to that. We got that. I think he should be much more a source of understanding and wisdom from, and also it would be a good thing for us here in trying to breathe into real significance, this occupy impetus that's coming out that is structured upon an existential understanding, maybe inchoate by people, that we need to have a real big change. And
big change.
You know what I think the ultimate challenge would be? Is to liberate the people and the ecology, but you also have to have some anchoring to history, so there has to be some people responsible for the outdated institutions that they can be shown a way to alter that so that you have them included, so everybody's included in the pattern. It would be halting at first because they think they're being challenged. Do you understand what I'm saying? We need to have that. That's the ultimate challenge.
It would be all inclusive. They will be also respected. Their brains and everything would be respected. Only thing is their exploitation would not be tolerated.
But what I'm saying is we lack
human suffering
that.
Cannot
Do you
be there.
find it anywhere in our political class across the world that seems to be manifest? I don't. I can't find it. I see him just reifying the outdated. And where is the comprehension? Prout would be one of them.
Yes.
And you would be a proud purveyor of that. And I thank him.
Thank you.
Out of time.
It's my pleasure. Thank
Your
you.
pleasure to have the perceptions of Dada. And your last name is pronounced?
Avaduta Avadhuta.
Yeah, no, but you're
Acharya Haratmananda Avadhuta.
Why don't I just call you Smith?
No,
It'd be so much easier, my brother.
You call me Dada.
I call you Dada.
Yes.
There's an art movement you've got to come to know about.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to tell you that we have a coming program, economic democracy program.
Okay.
You and all your,
economicdemocracyconference.org. Okay, look it up. Yeah, and we're going to want to get in touch with Sarkar.
Thank you.
I'm afraid we're off the air, but this will be on YouTube. And thank you for viewing.
Thank you.
I think we're onto something good, and we're a supporter of Occupy.